got the jelly cooling, and I have had lids popping off. Those are going to be made into applesauce, and I'll run them through a food mill. I am not going to cut all those up. I still have a third of a 5-gallon bucket left that haven't even been washed and picked through, so we'll see what I have the energy for. I still want to make juice and liqueur. I have just over 8 pounds. So let's get these put into the big pot. So the colander weighs 2 pounds, so I really only have 6 pounds of crab apples in here. I need to get enough water to cover these in the pot. I actually have more than 6 pounds because I have my pulp from the jelly. I'm going to get this boiling. My 6 pounds of whole washed crab apples that were covered in water are now coming to a boil. I'm going to turn it down to medium and let these simmer until they become soft and mushy. And I'm going to stir it every now and then just to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. I've also added a little bit of water to the pulp from what I strained out juice for jelly, and I'm reheating that because I'm going to run that through the food mill first since it has been cored and seeded. They are mushy and done, so let's start milling them. I've got my medium blade in my food mill. This is the batch that I had cored. Took all the stems off. Scrape off the bottom here. I'll get this cleaned out and then we'll do another batch. Now I'm getting into the batch that they were the whole apples, stems, seeds, and everything. I have run all of the crab apples through the food mill. That worked really well, just whole crab apples. And I've got these 2 huge pots. I need to measure it so that I can figure out how much sugar I want to add. I'm going to try a half a cup of sugar to 4 cups of applesauce. See if that's sweet enough. Nope. Almost, but I'm going to add a cup and see how a cup for every 4 cups of applesauce goes. You have to remember that crab apples are very tart compared to regular apples. That'll work. Okay, so we're doing 1 cup for every 4 cups. Okay, I'm just going to turn that on real low. Water bath is almost hot. The applesauce, the sugar has dissolved and it's hot. I've got the lids heating up again, and I've got hot, clean jars. Let's clean off these rims and get the lids and bands on. Water bath is boiling, that's good. 3 quart jars of applesauce. That'd be good for a family get together. It's so pretty and pink. We will take that to dinner at my folks tonight. I've got my quart-sized jars packed and going into the water bath right now. The 15-minute timer went off for processing the pint jars, so I'm going to get them lifted out and put them on a cooling rack. One at a time, and then I'll get the next batch of jars put in for their 15 minutes, leaving space for them to cool. Now, they've got a white haze on them, and that's because I totally forgot to put a couple of tablespoons of white vinegar in the water bath. There we go. Full day of crabapple processing. I am whipped. We got crabapple jelly. These I made a few days ago. Those are the spiced crab apples. And I've got a bunch of jars of crabapple sauce. You can hear them pinging shut. I've got a container of crabapple sauce to take to Mom and Dad's up in Sturgis for steak dinner tonight that we were invited to. And I have bruised crab apples left that tomorrow I will make into crabapple juice and can it. For the last of my crab apples, the ones that are pretty bruised and dented and not as pretty, I am making crabapple juice. I've filled my stock pot with crab apples, covered them with water, and I'm going to boil these, cook them for at least 15 minutes and mash them as I go until they're mushy, and then I'll strain these into juice. We'll add sugar and then process the cans. All right, I mashed all those up. I strained them twice through cheesecloth using my chinois, and I put them back in the big pot, added sugar to taste, and I've got 3 quarts of crabapple juice that I'm going to process in my water canner for 20 minutes. And I've got a little taste in a glass. It's still warm, and then a little bit left, maybe 2 cups that I'm going to refrigerate, and we'll see how it tastes cold. The crabapple juice just came out of the water canner. Such a beautiful color. The last thing I'm making out of the 5-gallon pail of crabapples is crabapple liqueur. I filled a half-gallon mason jar full of smashed cleaned crab apples, 3 cups of sugar in there, and then for 2 or 3 weeks I will lay this big jar on its side and rotate it so that the sugar dissolves and the flavor develops. Once it's developed, I will strain everything out and re-jar it. Here's the result of a 5-gallon pail of crab apples and 2 pretty full days of food preservation. I made the crabapple jelly. I made a whole bunch of crab apple sauce, some of which I actually took to my folks for dinner last night. Lots of crab apple sauce. It was really good. I have the spiced crab apples for the holidays that I had previously made, 3 quart jars of crabapple juice, and 1 half-gallon jar of crabapple liqueur in the works that'll take 2 or 3 weeks. That was a lot of crab apples to deal with, but I got it done. My kitchen is relatively cleaned up, and I'm ready to put all this stuff in my pantry downstairs. My crabapple liqueur has been steeping for 2 weeks at least. I kept it under my kitchen sink, and every day I would give it a turn so that sugar dissolved and so that everything got soaked in the vodka. It's time to strain it. Let's see if we can strain this without spilling too bad. I have no idea how much I'm going to get because of the volume of the crab apples. I don't want to squeeze them and make the liqueur cloudy. So I basically got about 4.5, 5 cups of liqueur. I'm gonna get a quart mason jar to put this back into. Pour a little bit into here and give it a taste. Oh my word, that is so good. Wow. It's nice and thick, but it's sweet, but it's still got that liqueur kick to it. Oh man, that is so good. And that was so easy. That would be great in cocktails or even just as a little sip of liqueur. So pretty and very good. It's nice and thick and silky. Tastes so good. Hopefully there'll be a little left so that I can sip on it. There's actually quite a bit left. Super good. To try some more. It's so good. Really happy with that.